This is Cleveland Stage Door. Please welcome our hosts, Jimmy D and Stacy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cleveland Stage Door. My name is Jimmy Davis, and I have a special guest here this week. We are talking to Declan Hayden from STOMP. Hello, Declan. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm great, Jimmy. How are you doing?
Doing good. And tell me, Declan, this is an interesting show. STOMP is not your ordinary show. You go around and play household cleaning supplies. Is that right?
Yeah, so STOMP is about an hour and 45 minutes long, and it's basically music the whole time. We never stop playing music. It's very groovy, but what makes it different is that we play music using just anything you could find around you. I mean, brooms, pipes, plumbing supplies, actual garbage cans, matchboxes. I mean, like all kinds of different stuff.
So how does one get into that? I see your past. You were in the orchestra in the past. How did you go from that to playing in pipes and trash cans?
Well, they had an open audition in 2021 that I went to. I feel like 800 people or so kind of just show up at the door of the theater. STOMP was in New York City at that time. And people just showed up and we auditioned, and it was about 3 days long, this audition process. They took 9 of us, and and that was it. It took about 4 weeks after those 3 days to learn the show, and then I was off on tour, and a lot of other people stayed in New York.
That's awesome. And tell me, what's your favorite thing to play on the show?
There is a huge back wall to the set. So like when you look at the stage, there's just like this sort of backdrop that's got like stop signs and license plates and pots and pans attached to it. And you might think when you walk in, like, oh, that's just like, it's just the set. But later on in the show, we climb it and we strap into it like with a rock climbing harness, and we play on all the stuff around the set, and we like jump back as well. It's really pretty exciting.
That's awesome. How did you get used to playing these type of items? Like, obviously you're a percussionist. How did you learn to play them? How did you get the use scene? How did you get to know how to do it?
Well, I think, as a percussionist, I feel like I already spent a lot of time just kind of playing with a lot of different things. And I think especially like in my background as like sort of a contemporary classical musician, a lot of times composers will just give you a lot of really silly things to play because they think that's, it's just exciting or a different sound or whatever. So I feel like I was really used to just trying to make really good sounds with like a bicycle wheel or like a balloon and stuff like that for like new music. And so when I got into STOMP and they started giving me all these different props, you kind of just make do. You kind of just look at the thing and try to do whatever is going to make that thing sound good. And you try not to stay married to any old kind of ideas about technique.
That's awesome. Did you, can you tell me from last time STOMP came to Cleveland to now, is it a whole different show, or does it change every so often?
I'm not sure when the last time STOMP came to Cleveland is, but it does change every so often. There are some core numbers that stay the same, like brooms, like I said, and then there's matches. There's a number called Hands and Feet where we just play, we play body percussion with our feet and our hands. But there's a couple new numbers now. There's a new number called Poltergeist, which is it's a little hard to describe. So honestly, you might have to come to the show to see it. But essentially, the main character is under a spotlight, and everyone else is kind of putting things in and out of the spotlight and throwing stuff. And he's trying to play on all of them. And we're kind of making his job really difficult to play on all these things. And there's another new number called Suitcases, which is suitcases.
That's awesome. Did you so are you telling the story throughout the show, or like how does the show progress from one to another? Is it basically a story?
It's non-narrative, but there are characters, and there is I guess a bit of a through line, but I wouldn't call it a story. It's more like we've got a really stoic, serious guy. We've got like a funny guy, and we've got like a crazy guy, and we've got a kind of a leader sort of a guy. Then we got another goofy guy, and then a guy who dances a lot, and then a really serious woman, and then a less serious woman. And you kind of just follow the way that those people interact. But what I think is really interesting about it is that the music is written for the characters too. So like, there's a lot of moments where we'll kind of like build a groove, we'll interlock, everyone will be playing a slightly different rhythm, and then like together it creates this kind of like melodic, groovy kind of music. And so the people who wrote the show are really smart, because they'll write the music so that like the serious people will be playing music that sounds a little bit more serious, and the people who are goofy might be playing music that sounds kind of goofy, and the weird guys playing weird music, you know what I mean? But it all like works together. And of course there's a visual element too, so we're all kind of doing our moves with whatever the character is supposed to be, in line with the music as well.
That's awesome. And what would you say like is the most off the wall instrument you guys play? Like, what's the one thing like gets people thrown off the most?
In terms of audience reaction, people really like the lighters. We have a number called Zippos, and people go nuts for the lighters, man. They really like.
Exciting. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, Stomp will be in town for the part of the Huntington featured performance, April 17th and 21st. That's coming up. Oh, that's next week. At Connor Palace Theater. If you want to come see Declan and the entire cast, tickets are available on playhousesquare.org. One last question for you, and I ask every single person that tours this question. If you could go back to when you first started touring, what is one piece of advice you would have gave yourself?
Sleep. Sleep is really important. I would tell myself to sleep more. I stayed up really late for my first year and a half or so of touring, and now I don't do that anymore, and I feel amazing.
There you go. And have you been to Cleveland yet? Is this your first time?
I'm from Cincinnati, so I've been to Cleveland.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. That's awesome. I did see that. I wasn't sure if you lived in Cincinnati or if you went to school in Cincinnati. That's awesome though. So yeah, that's all. Oh, you were close. Have you played in Cincinnati yet? Have you gone home yet?
No, I really wish this is the closest I get to home, actually. I really wish we had a Cincinnati date, but I am glad to do Cleveland. I've got like friends driving up and stuff because it's only a 4 hour.
Nice. That's awesome. Are you going to go to the Rock Hall and stuff when you're in town?
Probably, although I went like 6 years ago, so I'm not really sure how often they like update.
Oh, it's all different now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they change it. They change it yearly almost. Like they have the iconic stuff down in the basement still, but like they change the different floors and the different almost yearly. And some of the floors are like every 6 months.
Wow. All right. Well, definitely go. That sounds great.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, excited to have you in town once again. Stomp is coming to town next week, April 17th through the 21st. The Connor Palace Theater, part of the Huntington featured performance. And tickets are available on playhousesquare.org. Declan, thank you so much for joining me this week. And I'll see you next week. I'm going to be out there, I believe, on the 17th. So
17th, awesome.
Yeah, so I'll come say hello too. So
sounds great, Jimmy. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Cleveland Stage Door is a podcast produced by NEO Music Scene. Check out all the happenings around Cleveland on neomusicscene.com. A Jimmy D production, copyrighted 2023 by Jimmy D Productions, jimmydpro.com.